Did I make the perfect amount? If you're looking for alternatives to Gatorade or Electrolyte sports beverages, I'm gonna go through how I came up with these recipes, because it's not that simple. You don't just mix stuff in a jar. You kind of want to make sure you have the right nutrients. And I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about electrolytes. You can skip forward. I'll put little timestamps if you want to just get straight to the recipe, but I'm going to start off by explaining and educating you if there's stuff you're not really too sure about. First off, the only thing you'll really need, besides obviously the foods, is a juicer or a blender. I just always use my Vitamix just because it's pretty amazing. It does everything, and then you just strain out the pulp. Maybe I'll get a juicer one day, not right now. I also have one recipe for keto, just because they don't really want that many carbs. So if you're keto, there is one that's a little bit more friendly. I also want to emphasize that this is strictly for the Gatorade type beverages. This is meant during your workout. This isn't really a pre-workout or a post-workout. I'll probably do another informative thing about that later, but this is just to supplement the blog post I wrote. Link will be in the description. There's a lot more detail in there. So if you want to see where I'm getting this from, I'm not just making this up, list some sources, you can just read it there or have things to reference. So what are electrolytes? Electrolytes are minerals that give off an electric current when they dissolve in water. Those are sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and phosphorus or phosphate. There's a sixth, chloride, but chloride is also in salt. So if you're adding salt to anything, you don't really need to worry about it that much. Sport beverages like Gatorade also include carbs, usually in the form of a simple sugar like glucose. And that is because your body needs to restore its glycogen levels, which is basically what we use for fuel if you're doing an intense workout. So if you're gonna consume some fruit or simple sugars, it gets into your system quicker, so that way you can continue working out. And we try to avoid fats and too much fiber because those take longer to digest. So if your body's spending a lot of energy trying to digest these things, you can't really spend the same amount of energy working out. You might feel a little sluggish. You might just want to sit down for a bit. Carbs, simple sugars, okay. Now, these are not juices. I mean, I would also argue that you shouldn't be drinking too much juice anyway, just because you're not getting the fiber, but these specifically, even Gatorade, they're not meant to be drunk just because you're thirsty. Just because they do contain a lot of sodium normally and sugar. So if you're worried more about your calories, weight loss, it's probably not something you want to be having all the time. Like, it's specifically for when you're working out. And since these work as a way to help rehydrate you, they can also help if you're hungover, if you're just sweating a lot, if you're working out longer than an hour, that's when you would want to start taking these. Or if you live in a really hot climate, or if it's just a really hot day out, you're sweating, maybe you're going for a long hike, sometimes you just don't even realize that you depleted your electrolytes. So you want to replenish these. Water alone contains very slight trace amounts of these minerals. And since we purify our waters, we're always cleaning them, we're trying to keep everything sanitary, it has even less. Who knows, maybe back in the day, if you drank from a waterfall, it had everything you needed, but that doesn't really apply to right now. So yeah, I've learned this the hard way. I had a long workout at night. On my way home, I had my water bottle. It was bigger than this, and I'm just chugging it. And on the train ride home, my stomach just starts to cramp up. And this has happened maybe 2 or 3 times in my whole life. This isn't common. I had no idea why, but I literally just had to stop what I was doing. Like, I couldn't even finish going home. I just had to sit down and wait for it to pass. Essentially, I diluted my body by drinking too much water. So I already was low from the workout, and then I kind of flushed everything out. So yeah, I kind of wish I knew this earlier, because I could have just at least had some salt, you know, like something salty might have helped a little bit, or at least helped me over till I got home and could eat some food. So yeah. Normally you can get them through your diet. A lot of foods have everything you need. It's just that when you're working out, you sweat, and then when you sweat, you lose mainly sodium, but also the other minerals, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. Each of the 5 minerals all do something different. Again, I have a blog post. I kind of wrote a little bit more there if you want to really know what each one does, but it's not really that useful to know right now. It's just curiosity. Now, Gatorade. What's wrong with Gatorade, Powerade, Pedialyte, a lot of these other electrolyte restoring beverages or sport beverages? The main thing is they don't tend to normally contain all 5 electrolytes. They tend to just have a lot of sodium and potassium. Sometimes they might have too much sugar for what you want, a lot of preservatives, the dyes and the coloring. You don't really need all of that. They're selling you a very salty beverage. If you want that, you can just have salt water at home anyway for free. So if you look at the labels, you can see for yourself, compare things. I went ahead and I put a little chart together. It was easier for me to figure stuff out this way, and you guys can check it out if you want to see what I'm talking about. So if you look at it, a lot of these beverages that people often use are missing calcium, phosphorus. Some of them have magnesium, not that much, and even then it's just loaded with sodium. You probably should be getting a lot more potassium because a lot of people also just have high blood pressure in general, but everybody's different. Everybody loses different amounts of electrolytes when they sweat. If you're checking out these brands, you can see that there's a little trend. I'm just giving you a mental note that I'm writing these numbers down. I also included coconut water in there and a few electrolyte enhancers. Electrolyte enhancers are just these little droplets. You just put a few in your water and it gives you a whole bunch of electrolytes and minerals, but they also lack a few things, and I prefer to just try to have the whole foods, so that's what we're here for. Coconut water is probably one of the best, in my opinion, natural ways to rehydrate, because as you can see, it contains pretty much everything you need. Maybe not enough of it all, but it's definitely better than water. You have the money to shell out for it. Harmless Harvest can be a little pricey, but I do like it. I have a bottle just because I get it at Costco and they sell a whole case of them, so it comes out to like $2 each. You kind of see what's going on here if you're trying to read stuff. But yeah, there's a few others, but coconut water would probably be the only thing I would ever really recommend to people if they did just want to buy something quick on the store and you didn't have time to prepare something. So the next important piece of information is how much of everything do you need? It varies from person to person. Some people have high blood pressure, so they might not want as much sodium. Some people also just sweat way more than others. In the blog post, I found 2 articles that actually explain ways that you can test at home to find out an estimate of how much you're losing, just because some studies have shown that athletes can lose anywhere from 200 milligrams of sodium to 2,300 milligrams of sodium per liter. So that's 32 ounces. That's a pretty big spectrum. 950 seems to be the average. A pinch of salt is about 400 milligrams of sodium. So you can assume about 2 pinches of salt is going to give you 800 milligrams. So that's how I'm working all this out. It's just math. We averaged things out. We checked out the study so we can have an estimate, target number of the minerals that somebody loses when they sweat on average. So I'm going to use that for how I came up with each of these recipes that you guys can put together, and then you can use the same idea if you want to mix and match your own flavors. So here's a chart that includes some of the highest electrolyte foods. A lot of them are fruits, there's a few vegetables on there, and chia seeds actually are super packed. So you can throw in chia seeds and some salt in almost anything and it will be a sports beverage or like a Gatorade. But it's kind of boring, so let's make it a little bit more fun. So the target numbers, sodium can really vary. You can do anywhere from 50 milligrams all the way up to 2,000. But to keep it safe, I would probably just keep the sodium a little lower. Like even if you look at a lot of the electrolyte enhancers, there's a range. So I'm just gonna say anywhere from like 50 to potentially 1,500. You can say 500 to be safe. So that comes out to less than a pinch, all the way up to like a third or half a teaspoon. Potassium, 250 milligrams. Magnesium, 100 milligrams. Calcium, 65. And phosphorus, about 70. And again, these minerals aren't all as important as sodium. That's why a lot of these other beverages are just loaded with sodium. But it's just a good average to work with to make sure you're getting at least everything you need. and you can continue working out and you're not just gonna drop because you're too tired to keep moving. Oh, and I almost forgot carbs. If you look at Gatorade and a few other beverages, I think they usually average around 14 grams of carbs. You want that as a simple sugar if you can, glucose essentially. Fructose takes a little bit longer to digest, so it doesn't go to your muscles as quickly. Some studies say about 30 grams of carbs is a good number per hour if you're gonna be doing some intense workout, if you're gonna be in the sun, or if you're gonna be sweating a good amount. I've got my Vitamix right here, a couple fruits. First one is gonna be just really simple, and this is what I've been doing for actually a few years now before I even learned more about it. Water, chia seeds, salt, a little bit of lemon, and you can add a sweetener if you want. The chia seeds actually do provide a good amount of carbs. I also like this because it's the easiest to always have around. You don't really need anything special. I just get a giant thing online. I go to Costco. I'll have a link if you want them. It's affiliate links, so at no cost to you. If you do decide to purchase anything, I'm just letting you know, heads up. It just helps support me a little bit. If not, doesn't really matter. I just have a big bag of them, and I always kind of just have a lemon lying around, and who doesn't have salt? So yeah. The other ones will be a citrusy one that kind of reminds me a bit of like the typical orange Gatorade. There's one with watermelon, just because watermelon also has L-citrulline, which is supposed to help with muscle soreness and muscle recovery. I'm gonna get more into that another time. And then the fourth one is keto version. So if you check out that chart I shared earlier, cucumber, you can add in some celery, lemon, and that way you're really just minimizing your carb intake. Everyone's different how they're doing their keto, so I really don't want to specify how many carbs because you would probably know more about what you're allowed to have right now to keep you in ketosis. So we're gonna go straight to it. So the first one I was talking about, I'm not gonna make a whole thing just because I'm not working out right now, but water. I didn't fill it up all the way, but you get the idea. I'm gonna put in the chia seeds. I'm just adding about a teaspoon. And before I continue, all of the nutrition for the fruits and chia seeds you can either get off the label of the chia seeds, obviously, or there's various websites online where they give you all of the nutrition facts. So I'll also link to one of those if you want to double check anything, or if there's an obscure ingredient that I didn't mention. So continuing, I have the chia seeds, water. I'll put just a little bit of salt, just about that much. I'm just used to eyeing it, so if you want to use an actual pinch, if you want to use your measuring spoons, cups, whatever, go for it. I kind of just go by flavor. I know how it tastes now, so I know if I need to add a little bit more salt. And then same thing with the lemon. I'm just gonna squeeze in. This is really just for flavor, honestly, because salt water doesn't taste that good. But that's it. Got that. I'm just gonna cover it, give it a little shake. I'm just gonna let that sit for maybe like 10 minutes for the chia seeds to absorb some water. And yeah, I don't know if you remember, like I think in the 90s there was some, was it chia seeds or like little tapioca balls in the water? I don't know. That's kind of what this reminds me of because it's like fun. So I'm gonna prep the watermelon one. Already have some cut up watermelon, just I was lazy. Pomegranates. Again, all of these, based off of how I wrote them out, are just kind of based off of serving size, and sometimes I just kind of use my palm to measure that as a serving size. And the great thing is I don't have to really, you can see how much white is still there. I don't have to clean it off because I'm gonna filter it out anyway, so it's easy. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I'm just putting in like half a teaspoon of chia seeds, some water. If you want it a little thinner. This one doesn't get as thick as the third one I'm gonna show you, so it's up to you if you want to strain it. I don't mind it. If you use strawberries instead of the pomegranate, that's cool too. They both fill in what you need. So this one you also want, because of the chia seeds, you have to let it sit for a little while. Oh, did I make the perfect amount? No, it's a little bit. So here's what that's looking like right now. Again, you can strain it if you want. this out. All right, the third. I just peeled off an orange. This is half of the cucumber, but it's like, again, kind of palm size. Well, a little bigger, but you kind of get an idea. I'm just doing this because it wouldn't blend very well if I put the whole thing in. Some water. The water's up to you. It's just if you want a little bit more liquid to drink. And I really like this one because, not really like it, but it's fun because it comes out kind of like this neon yellow green. So if you're into fake colors, this one does that. Salt, again, pinch or a little more. This one doesn't need chia seeds just because it already gets a lot from the orange and the cucumber, but if you want, you can throw some in too. Or if you're gonna strain this one because it gets very pulpy, just add the chia seeds towards the end after you strain it. Let's see, I'll move the camera down. Now I'm straining it. So this one is a little bit more work. You can use a cheesecloth, or you can just kind of do what I'm doing. Obviously a juicer would be better. I probably should get a juicer eventually. I just don't really drink a lot of juice. You can kind of see it. Hold on, I'll pick up the camera. It's got a little bit of that green. It's pretty much just more cucumber. If you really care about getting it that green, maybe your kids or your favorite color is green, just add more cucumber. I'm gonna do what I said not to do and try it as juice. That one's good. So for the fourth one, the keto one, I actually don't have, oh, the lighting changed. I actually don't have any more cucumber. I just used the last of it for that one. I would double up the cucumber. You can add a celery stalk and then some lemon juice, chia seed. That's gonna really depend on your carb allowance. Do the same thing with those. Juice or blend them, add in a little salt, add in a little chia seed at the end, shake it, let it sit. Pretty much good. I was hoping to make a blue one just because I feel like it's such an iconic color. But the only things I could think of that really turn blue algae, blue matcha, and what's the other? My sister said pea flower, butterfly pea flower. You mix it with lemon, it turns blue. So if you're really trying to get something blue, you can throw those in one of your drinks, but I'm just trying to keep this like straight bait. So there you have it. You can kind of see what all of them look like. Now, I really think the watermelon one's the best. It's just like, it would make a good juice, but whatever. There you have it. You got 4 alternatives to Gatorade: homemade, natural, whole fruits, veggies. You don't really need anything else. That's it. If you enjoyed this video or even my blog post, if you think it's informative, please let me know. You can message me. It'll really help if you like and subscribe this video. Once you hit subscribe, you can hit the little notification bell. That way you stay notified for my next content. I want to put out more videos, teach you things that I've been learning and that I wish I knew a long time ago as well. And if anything I said in here was a little off, if you have different information, share it. I might do an update. Maybe I made a mistake somewhere. I'm always down to do better and learn more. You can find more quick recipes if you follow my Instagram, about this much. I'll have links in the description for anything I used. If you want anything, just let me know.